Welcome to yet another episode of Kiska brand Bajega. Influencer marketing today has become synonymous with social media these days. However, there's much more to it than just a popular face posting about a brand on Facebook or Instagram. With the move from brick-and-mortar stores to e-commerce businesses, new age brands are looking at more innovative methods to market their products outside of the traditional methods. In a classic example, Treasury collaborated with celebrities such as Jacqueline Fernandez, Mandana Karimi, Pooja, Karan Mehra and Nisha Rawal to establish their presence as the brand entered the Indian market. Boat is another brand that has used celebrity influencers such as Kartik Aaryan, Guru Randhawa, Hardik Pandya and many others to reach out to their target audience through social media. They have smartly leveraged their position as youth influencers to position their own brand as the trendiest one around. KFC India also leveraged the reach that India's top food bloggers have on digital platforms and put out a teaser campaign about a secret burger to create buzz for the new food item that they were launching. They tied up with Delhi food guide, the Hungry Dungry and the Mumbai foodie to taste and review the new burger called the Double Down Burger. Talking about influencers and the importance of community, we have Pooja with a stellar panel discussing community marketing and the trends. Over to Pooja at Brand Adda.
The evolution has changed us a lot, isn't it? Right from the discovery of fire to the identification of new galaxies. We have come a really long way, but there's something that has been quite innate in all of us. Yes, we are talking about communities. From being the basis of our survival to emerging as the strongest pillar of marketing and brand building. Welcome everyone to this entrancing panel discussion about community building. To begin with, let's have a quick introduction of our guest, a thought leader behind the world's most versatile camera. Please welcome the Vice President, Global Marketing and Communications at GoPro, Mr. Rick Loughery. Hi, Rick. It's great having you here.
Hi, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Great. Moving on, we have the #1 travel influencer in India, the one and only and super gorgeous Shenaz Treasury. Welcome, Shenaz. Next, we have the man with unmatched passion and speed, Managing Director, Benelli, India, Mr. Vikas Jhabakh.
Thank you.
And now, the lady with around 2 decades of experience around the world, Vice President, Brand Marketing, upGrad, Tanya Ahluwalia.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get into the nuances of community building, let's discuss what are usually the ground rules set up to set the parameters of building a community. Because you know, if the rules are too stringent, then you might miss out on a large potential chunk. And if it's left too open, then you might just miss out on the exclusivity. So Rick, let's start with you. What do you think about it?
Well, I think for GoPro, we didn't set any parameters, right? So if I'm going to be honest, we wanted it to be organic. GoPro is for everyone. So GoPro's mission is to inspire people to go out and live a big life. So we, don't set any parameters and kind of the communities just kind of evolve. We help foster things along for sure, and it's different for different brands for sure, but for us, we didn't want to set parameters.
That's interesting. What about you, Tanya?
I kind of agree. I think a community usually is formed for really 2 reasons. It's either a shared passion or it's a shared goal, and it could be personal or professional.
Yeah.
And I think so long as you identify that and you understand what it is that consumers are coming to you for, then you don't really need to put the boundaries. And different communities will form around that. And therefore the content and the engagement that the community as well as the brand is providing.
Okay.
It's open to all and anybody who wants to be part of it.
That's impressive. Vikas, what do you think about it?
So I'll just touch upon something she said about how community is sometimes about sharing a common passion. And for us at Benelli, that is certainly true, right? Because for us, the community is about the passion of riding. And that allows us to bring together people from completely different backgrounds, age groups, geographies, etc. And it's all about the riding and the passion for riding. And I think the community pretty much takes it from there and takes its own shape.
Nice. Shenaz, what do you think about it?
My community is about, again, passion and people who love to travel. And not just people who can afford to travel, but there are some people who are aspiring to travel. Yeah. And a lot of young people who are like, wow, I want to travel the world. Those people are part of this community. And I wouldn't say I set any parameters because it's open to all, just like GoPro. But it's like-minded people who enjoy that. Those people are following this channel.
Amazing. Yeah. So, Tanya, next question is for you. As a business model, upGrad comprises of a huge community of learners as well as providers. So, do you think there are other stakeholders as well that are part of the community? And how do you ensure that you encompass all of them to build a bigger and better community for your brand?
You know, I think the first thing is that upGrad is, you know, a learning partner and a learning company that really is looking to make sure that people have the ability to continue to learn post their graduation, right?
Yeah.
So I think, in a way, our decision makers are our students and our learners themselves because they are all working professionals. I think there are a lot of stakeholders that actually come into it from a family point of view, just when it is actually the commitment of time that people have to do because they're doing a job and they're going to study, and therefore somewhere in their personal life they may get a little less free time to kind of engage with their family members. But I think you know, every member of that ecosystem can be part of our community and can kind of benefit from some of the content and some of the engagement that we do. So I think it's quite inherent, and it just kind of happens naturally.
Okay,
yeah?
That's interesting. Yeah. By the way, community building is not a very new concept. It has been existing for quite a long time now. But with the advent of social media, there's a new spin to it, right? There's an emergence of a new thing called as the online communities. So what do we think about that? Has it helped in building the existing communities, or there's still challenges in there?
I think there's, you know, both sides to the coin as usually is. Social media has definitely added fuel to the fire. And, you know, as brands, we are able to reach out to a larger audience. And that allows us to build a larger community for the brand itself. I think through social media, we have found a platform to share a slightly different kind of experience with a much larger community. And we're able to take some of them and also give them a different experience in an offline community.
Okay, that's interesting. Rick, what do you think about it?
Obviously, it's benefited us. It's enabled us to reach, you know, audiences all around the world and build communities around the world as well. There's definitely challenges, and you know, you start amassing these big followings and these big communities and trying to be there for them and trying to, whether it's just simply like answering their questions or like responding to them when they tag you. Like we put a lot of effort into trying to speak to our community and have conversations with them.
Of course, there's a lot of effort that goes back in, right?
Yes.
On the face of it, it's all of a lot of happy, excited people, but in the back end, it's somebody putting constant effort
and there's plenty of people that aren't happy.
Tanya, what do you think about the whole concept of online communities?
Well, I'm an online education brand, so I think there is a strength to be able to bring people across the country together and actually for them to feel like part of a classroom. Okay. And I actually just the other weekend had a really great experience, because what we do is we have our online courses, but we have offline events so that there can actually be peer-to-peer interaction. And I think if done correctly, and to what Rick said, you know, I mean, it's a constant learning and it's a constant evolving, but I think the opportunity is amazing.
But I have a lot to say about this, actually. Yeah. So I started my career with MTV, as you know, so I was a host. I was doing kind of what I'm doing now, but for a TV channel, right? And this is my third career. After that, I became an actor, and I moved to the US, and then I was thinking, what do I do when I come back to India? And I feel that if not for social media, I would not be able to have moved back. I have an idea, I make it, it's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I can do whatever, and it gets a lot of views. I don't have to convince anybody. traveling, I'm making my own content, and I have built this community that I could never have done without social media. So thank you, social media.
This one comes from my Instagram queen herself.
Now, of course, with personal life, there are drawbacks and all of that, but it's really given me a third career. If not for social media, I don't know what I would be doing right now.
So you have created a community, a niche all for yourself, which is phenomenal. But you are a brand as well as an ambassador, which means that you also work with a lot of brands which are communities in themselves, like GoPro. In that case, does your existing communities impact your decisions to endorse or support a brand?
Yeah, absolutely. So my whole thing is travel, right? So it's travel and well-being.
Yeah.
So a lot of people come to my channel and they say they like to watch it also, not just because of the travel, but when they watch it, they feel happy, positive, they feel good, and it's just like a quick thing and they move on, right? So GoPro is a great product. Actually, before GoPro, I used to be struggling with the bigger cameras, because I shoot everything myself, and I started with shooting and editing myself. And actually, when I started, I did not know what I was doing. I didn't even know that I was building this community or doing this. I was just doing it for fun. And it started picking up views on YouTube and on Instagram. And then I was like, wow, I can just really do this. And a lot of people now use GoPro as well. And they always ask me, how do you shoot these videos? How do you edit these videos? And so it's a really nice tie-up.
Yeah.
So I like working with brands like GoPro. But of course, I work with all brands, that's how I make a living.
That's amazing. Yeah. So it is noticed usually as a trend that community building creates a niche for a brand. So it's like-minded people, same passion, aspiration, and so on. But is it possible to also create mass communities?
Well, absolutely. That's what we did. GoPro created a mass community by amassing a bunch of niches. So GoPro started because it was the first way that someone was able to capture what they were passionate about. Whether they were skiing, they were mountain biking, they were snowboarding, they were surfing, they would upload their video and be, check out my GoPro surf video, check out my GoPro snowboard video. Those communities, the difference between a snowboarder and a skier is very different. The difference between a skier, downhill skier, and a park skier is very different. They're completely different people. So knowing how to talk to them, and that's how GoPro kind of snuck along and the big guys didn't pay attention because they just looked at action sports. They didn't realize that there was all these niches and it became a pretty good business.
So it's a lot of niche categories building up to a mass community.
I think, so the niche would be, say, for example, I would do a luxury travel, like hotel, right? So that would be the niche. But then I would say probably 10% of my following can afford those hotels. But say if I put a fancy hotel in, on my channel, it gets the most views, surprisingly, right? And I'm like, okay, this is just a fancy hotel, and I just made a whole video about this tribe and all, and no one's interested. So the reason I think is also the aspiration, and that's the mass. They want to see this fancy hotel.
Okay, Tanya, what do you think about it?
At some point, you have to understand the different audiences. So am I talking to a data scientist? Am I talking to a product manager? Am I talking to a digital marketer? Am I talking to somebody who wants general management skills like an MBA? And while there may be a common need and a common motivation that's kind of driving that need to further study, how do I cater to their information knowledge that they're seeking, or what would help them kind of engage with my community? So I do think you have to make sure you understand your consumer and what it is that they're looking for.
I think it's similar in the biking industry as well, I mean, you generally tend to talk about riding experiences and Benelli riders having the riding group. But in reality, there are different kinds of riding that happen. There are those who are into hardcore adventure off-roading, those who are touring long distances, those who are using their sports bike on track and track days, and these are completely different kind of ride experiences. And this is where we focus on niche communities, where we curate experiences for that community based on the kind of experience they're looking for. And now that we have created these niche communities, we are able to now create a mass community where we're able to bring all of these onto the same platform. So for us at Benelli, we're finding it easier to first create these niche communities. And once they become established, try and bring them onto a common platform with something that works for all of them. So I don't think it's either this or that. I think
Okay.
for some of a brand, for us, it was first niche and then move on to a mass
Wow,
community.
that's really, really interesting. Okay. Now, Vikas, talking about the motorbike industry, right? So you are in a market which has immense competition. And surprisingly, all your competitors are doing great when it comes to community building. What do you do to ensure that Benelli really stands out?
India as a country has a lot of people with very high aspirations. Doesn't always mean that they can indulge with their aspiration. But they still want to get to some place midway where they can share a bit of that experience
Yeah.
and get a little closer to their dream. And we bridge that gap quite wonderfully in the market today. Also, what we do as a company is that we have taken riding responsibly as a motto for ourselves. And that doesn't mean just promoting riding responsibly, but what we do is for every new Benelli customer that becomes part of the family, we actually do like a learning experience for them where we get a professional rider to come and teach them about how to handle the superbike that they've just bought and how they can enjoy it responsibly, also making it safe for themselves and everyone around them. So we try and do some different things that keeps our customers' interest levels going and try and differentiate ourselves in that respect.
Amazing. So it's enriching the core to build better and safer communities.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So Rick, next question is specially for you. So GoPro has a huge community and it's present around the globe. In that case, how do you ensure that the brand ethos is consistent yet adaptable in different parts of the world? Is there a difference in the marketing strategy for GoPro Global vis-a-vis India?
Well, I think there's the brand, and then there's the brand that it represents a global and what people think of GoPro. But then we've got to apply local strategies, right? So for us, it's content, right? And it's about creating content that's going, what we were talking about earlier, that's going to be relevant, still aspirational. Relevance important. So we're not going to show a bunch of skiing and snowboarding, ice fishing content in India. People will be like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but no thanks. So we've got to have a blend. So it's understanding and it's fostering a community of both employees and user-generated community of fans here, and learning from them and having constant dialogue and seeing what they're creating and pushing that content out there. So it's like take the global and then apply it local.
Okay. So the next question for everyone is that a brand is usually held responsible for its ambassadors' action. And why not? They are the face of the brands, right? But when you're building a community, you might have thousands, lakhs, or even millions of faces out there. In that case, how do you ensure that the brand integrity is maintained and it's safeguarded against the actions of your community members? Rick, what do you think about it?
Me first. It's actually a very serious topic, and we've unfortunately had to deal with this in some pretty sad situations. But GoPro is about enabling people to live their best lives, and GoPro is all about positive. So it's kind of like what your mom taught you when you were little. Is like if you lead by example, if you're a good person, you're gonna have good friends and good people surrounding you. That's what we try to do with our brand and try to build that positivity up. There's gonna be bad people and they're gonna do bad things. Okay. And sometimes your brand's gonna be associated with that. But we rest on the fact that we know that we're a good company and our community is always right there for us and right there to kind of pick us back up, right there to be the first ones to advocate for us too. So that's the best way to do. Lead by example, trust in your community, even if there's some bad apples.
Amazing. So it's the brand ethos and how true you are to the core that matters. That's amazing. Tanya, what do you think about it?
I agree. I mean, I actually agree 100%. Because I think you have to be very clear, and the world and your consumers and your community has to be very clear about what it is that you stand for, and what it is that you are delivering to them as well as a product or a brand. And so for me, it's learning. But I think if that is clear and your principles and your position is constantly shared and you kind of lead with that, then any outlying incidents or issues kind of like Vic said, you would probably get supported by your community in defense of the brand. So, yeah, I agree.
I mean, absolutely. Even at Benelli, we believe that all of our customers are actually our brand ambassadors. And when they are out there with or on a Benelli, and how they behave out in society is also a direct reflection on the brand. And we are very aware of that. And which is we try and foster a community which is aware about safe driving. I already told you about how we do classes for them. But apart from that as well, when we do our rides, when we do our overnight rides, when we do our day rides, we try and sensitize them as much as possible. We take every safety precaution possible. All riders have their safety equipment on at all time. We have an ambulance with us. So this is something we are very passionate about and we work hard towards.
So it's high time that, we really take sustainability and responsibilities very seriously.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Shenaz, you are a brand and an ambassador, both in yourself. So how it is for you?
So I think what my brand, I would say like channel stands for, I ask people a lot. I interact with the audience a lot. So why they like the videos. Why do I get so many views a day? Because I post a video a day and I get at least 100,000 views a day, at least. So why do you like it? And mostly they say because they come here for positivity, for happiness, for well-being, which is why actually I'm expanding to do travel and well-being as well. So it does stand for, and like he said, be a good person, I believe I am, and, stand for everything that's good in the world, and, and I think the people will follow, and you find your clan, right? You find your, so I think, you find your tribe, exactly. And that is the tribe. And I feel like people, when they hashtag me and stuff, they're always showing positive. So that's amazing, Touch wood. Thank you.
Touch wood. Amazing. Thank you so much to all of you for being here today with us and sharing your precious time and helping us understand the intricacies of the simplest yet one of the most complex marketing practices. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
That was quite an engaging session. The influencer marketing method is fruitful at many levels. Mostly because influencers have a large audience base and the core messaging that already fits in well with their target audience and the brand ethos. Marketers should consider the ad fatigue that the consumers are experiencing, which is why influencer marketing and community building provide the perfect relief, while also lending an air of authenticity to the campaign. Until next time, this is Aditya Bhatt signing off. Kiska brand Bajega gives you a chance to visit our studios and interact with India's biggest celebrity brands live by answering a simple question. Hero 7 is a product of which of the following camera brand? A. Sony, B. Nikon, C. Canon, D. GoPro. Send your answers to us by commenting on our Instagram post and following our page at Kiska_brand_Bajega.
The investment was ever into advertising, investments into brands, right? And I think that's what we've been always setting out to build.
The value of brand is going to go away. I think what is changing is maybe a notion of the accountability.
Now that there are devices by which we can get that accountability happening, as we were discussing a little while ago, that you immediately know how effective your ad is.